What is up, everybody? It's Monday again. We got another Monday metagame update for you. We just had a new set, Anthology sets, come out in Historic and Explorer. So we're going to take a look, see, did it make any changes in those formats? Anything shake up? Any new decks going around with those new cards? Let's get into it. Alrighty, so let's get started as usual with standard. Today, standard is looking pretty normal, pretty standard if you want to say that. Mono white, Naya humans, mono red, those are all the best decks of the week so far. So nothing has really come in to shake up that. And the rest are looking pretty much lower than that. So really only these top three have a good win rate for this week, the last 7 days. So if you're trying to climb to Mythic and Standard, probably these are your best bets currently. I know Mono Black is also doing decently well. So yeah, those are kind of your options at this point. And then in best of three, we have Mono Black Control, Demir Midrange, and Esper Control doing the best currently, with at least with a decent sample size of data in the last 7 days. So those mid-range and control decks doing more well in best of three format, which makes sense. All right, on to historic. This is what we hoped to see, some new shakeup, some new things going on with the new cards, but dun dun dun, turns out that either people haven't been crafting them or they haven't been doing super well. Golgari Yawgmoth, that's one I played earlier in one of my videos, and it is doing very, very well. As you can see here, 70% win rate. And there's a few different versions of the deck, but for the most part, it's, you know, Yawgmoth and Halfling and the Young Wolf and the Orcish Bowmasters, etc. And you kind of just have these lots of these infinite combos loops that you can go on to draw a bunch of cards or to put a bunch of -1/-1 counters on different things. So very powerful deck. And I would say it could struggle against certain combo decks, but for some reason, aggro seems to be the most prevalent decks in Historic at the moment. Not as many combo decks as there used to be, so yeah, it's doing quite well. And Absent Sacrifice also rising up to the top. Bowmasters, Cats, Samwise Gamgee, etc. So this deck was doing pretty well last week, still doing very well. So these two newcomers have kind of taken to the top spot, it seems like. And I guess people just started to realize that Yawgmoth is a pretty good card. So yeah, it's doing well in Historic. And then Squirrel Twins always does pretty well. It's still doing quite well. The life gain helps deal with the other aggro decks in the format. And Dredge is on the rise, and I think this is one that got the most from the last anthology set that just came out. So let's take a look at the list for this. So I think the new card in here is Bloodghast. It's black, it can't block, it's a 2/1, and has haste as long as the opponent has 10 or less life. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may return Bloodghast from your graveyard to the battlefield. So basically, you don't mind milling this because when you play a land, it's going to return to the battlefield. So you kind of want to mill a bunch of these, play a land, get 2 or 3 of them back, and then keep swinging in at the opponent until you can get them less than 10 life. So yeah, it's just another thing to go with it, kind of like Narcomoeba. You know, you have all these other ones that recur from the graveyard as well. So they just got another piece for their kind of graveyard combo-y shenanigans. So this list in particular has a very good win rate. So if you like self-mill and you want to try out this new card, Bloodghast, then give this one a shot. Other than that, I really didn't see any new cards in any of these other decks. So I think they just kind of didn't make the cut. But I'm sure, you know, people will still try out some new things in the next few weeks or so. So we'll see. From my side, I will say I've been playing Mistman's Demir deck in Historic, And I really liked this addition that I added here, this Unearth. I think this is kind of a sleeper card that's going to see a lot more play in the future in Historic. Just really powerful, 1 mana, return a creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it also has cycling, so it's never dead. And if you have that with Snapcaster Mage, then you can kind of do like a loop sort of shenanigans, or you could even cycle this and then later get it back with Snapcaster. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. Also works really well with Lurrus. You know, usually the problem with Lurrus is you get it down and they want to kill it immediately. Well, you can bring it back with an Earth. And once you bring it back, then you can bring back a Snapcaster Mage, etc., and just kind of go to town there. So, yeah, I don't even. This is a good shell for it, and I think there could definitely be other more aggressive decks that want to play like 4 Unearths in their deck. So, stay tuned for that. I think that's going to happen in the near future. All right, let's move on to Alchemy. So this also got a banning in the last 7 days or so with Crucius and Fable of the Mirrorbreakers. So the top deck in Alchemy before was the Rakdos deck, but it seems like with the last 7 days or so, it's kind of lost its favor or lost its ability to do well enough. And so this mono black Nazgul deck with Bowmasters and these Nazguls from the Lord of the Rings set seems to have kind of risen up in power. And then also mono red doing pretty well. This one was decent before, but now that Crucius is gone, it's really jumped up to the top spot, it looks like. So yeah, I guess we have kind of a shift in power now that Crucius is finally gone, or not gone, but nerfed in Alchemy. So that is sweet. Although I know some people were sad that it's weaker in Historic. Personally, I'm happy. I think the card was too good in both formats. Maybe it didn't need to be as nerfed as it was. A 3-1, you know, dies to Orcish Bowmasters. I think it probably would have been fine as a 3-2, meaning it would die to different like red burn spells. But dying to Bowmasters is a little bit rough for the card, but it had its time. I don't feel sorry for it, so yeah, ready for new things. Okay, well that's Alchemy, and then Explorer also got a new anthology set, but similar to Historic, I really was not seeing many new cards being tried out here. Um, maybe this one. I don't remember seeing this before, so there might be a couple, 1 or 2 here or there that people are trying out, but didn't see a whole lot. The newest deck I saw was people trying to make Femur Creativity with Xenagos, which I know is a Pioneer deck, but seems like not a whole lot of success with these decks yet, at least. It's at 53%, with a decent number of people trying it, around 2,000 matches. But maybe they can fine tune it a little bit and get something to work there, and we'll see in the future if it becomes a real deck or not. Yeah, other than that though, not a whole lot coming out of the anthology. So maybe save your wild cards and your money for now, and we'll see what happens in the future. Or maybe it's just nobody wants to spend their money to get these new cards until they know if they're good enough. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the Untapped right now. So not a whole lot new going on except for that one Sultai Dredge deck, and what I mentioned with the Unearth, I think is a sleeper card that's going to be in a lot of play, and it's a common, so might as well craft it. We do have a few Twitter lists. We no tournaments this week. I guess just nothing going on, but we do have a few Twitter lists. We have a Steven Crokies. He made it to number 3 Mythic in Alchemy, playing this Legends Planeswalker deck, I guess. Um, really crazy stuff. 5 color. I just random good stuff, and made it to number 3. So I guess good cards means you win the game, and that's the name of Alchemy. We saw that Alchemy did have the 5 color Legends deck here, so I guess it's just kind of a similar deck with a little bit of a tweak. But yeah, rank 3. Can't really argue with that. Mistman, also the one with the blue-black deck that I was playing, posted his lists here, and I think he has a few versions of it. Oh, it's a matchup guide. So yeah, you can check out that and see his thought process, what he thinks it's good against, bad against, how to sideboard if you're a best of 3 player. But yeah, I think his deck is very good in Historic, and eventually will catch on with mainstream people. Another person here, Pangolino, had a super win streak in Historic. Again with Loris blue-black control, so probably took ideas from Mistman as well. And has a few new cards in here like Lorien Revealed. This is a 5 mana draw 3, but you can also cycle it for 1 for island cycling, which is pretty nice ability. You know, it means you're going to get your land drops, and late game you get to draw cards. So yeah, I think that's cool. I did think that card was probably good in some decks, but I thought maybe it would be better in a mono blue deck. But this person apparently trying it out in Demir. And then Saruman's Ransom, quickly becoming one of my favorite cards, is a very strong blue-black draw spell. And it gets around the Shieldred problem because it doesn't actually draw a card. It is also instant, meaning you can hold up a counterspell, and then at the end of their turn, get some cards from this card. So I think it's really good, and yeah, it works great with Archmage Charm. So very, very awesome card. All right, we got a couple more here. This is, I believe, a Yawgmoth deck in Historic. This is almost the same exact one that I was playing. I think maybe they have one less ring here, one less Shieldred, added a Chupacabra. So a few tweaks here and there, but overall still the Yawgmoth Historic deck, which is doing very, very well right now. And then last but not least, we have this version of blue-black control in Historic, and it has Shieldred, the One Ring, and a bunch of counterspells and removal, and of course Orcish Bowmasters. So kind of mixing the Rakdos deck and turning it into a blue-black deck, because the Rakdos Crucius one really abused Shieldred and One Ring and Crucius as like a triple whammy of death. So now you just have a control version with similar idea there. And they went 7-0 in their metagame challenge. Of course, it doesn't mean that it's perfect, but so far it seems decent, and so might be worth a shot. All right. Yeah, that's kind of it for our update for this week. We do have some new Magic stuff coming out, like the Doctor Who Commander decks are coming out really soon. They were spoiling some of those cards recently. And as I mentioned earlier, the Historic Anthology and the Explorer Anthology both came out. So there's a lot of new cards in there that are interesting. But yeah, no, like I talked about, nobody's really found a good shell yet, or nobody's been brave enough to try it out on ranked yet. So we'll have to see in a few weeks. But if you got the funds and you're not worried and you want to try some cool stuff up, check those out, give it a shot, see if you can make something work. And let me know in the comments if you have a really cool deck with the new cards that you got working for you. But that's going to be it. So go out there, you know, enjoy yourself, have some fun. Don't just grind yourself into misery, but have some fun out there on the ladder. And until next time, see ya.